You're watching Newsday TV. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ken Buffa. Long Island authorities say they are monitoring the deadly attack in New Orleans. The FBI identified Samsudeen Jabbar as the driver that rammed a pickup truck into a crowd.
An ISIS flag was located on the trailer hitch of the vehicle, and the FBI is working to determine the subject's potential associations and affiliations with terrorist organizations.
At least 10 people were killed and more than 30 were injured. The 42-year-old was shot to death by police. Now, investigators also found guns and pipe bombs hidden in coolers in the suspect's truck. The attack happened just after 3 a.m. on Bourbon Street. And only in Newsday, new state laws are now in effect, including one that was pushed by a Long Island mother. All boat operators must now have a boating safety certificate regardless of age. This law is named for an 11-year-old girl from St. James who was killed in a boat crash 2 decades ago. Also in effect, minimum wage has increased by 50 cents, bringing it to $16.50. And another new law requires employers to provide 20 hours of paid time off for prenatal sick leave. And some Long Island families are ringing in the new year with the New Year's baby. Virginia Huey spoke to one of Long Island's newest girl dads.
Just 10 minutes after the new year ushered in, a beautiful blessing arrived for Maryam Ali and Kashfaq Khan of North Babylon. Their daughter was born at Huntington Hospital at 12:10 a.m., weighing in at 8 pounds 6 ounces. She's the first baby in 2025 at Northwell maternity wards across the New York City area, and likely the first on Long Island.
I'm excited about her, the moment in the new year is like a precious gift from Allah. And I'm super happy for her. Her name is Gulbanu Khan. The meaning of the name is like a princess flower.
Khan says he always dreamed of being a girl dad.
I would like a baby girl. The girls are always like the sweetest part of the home.
Baby Galbano's big brother Mohammed is waiting at home to meet her. He turned 11 months old today. While his wife is recovering from delivery, Khan says having 2 children under the age of 1 is harder, but the rewards will definitely be sweeter.
Yeah, that's like a beautiful moment, and we are happy seeing them growing together.
In Huntington, Virginia Huey, Newsday TV.
Congrats to that growing family. Now, MSG networks have gone dark on Optimum due to a dispute with Altice. MSG carriers metro area NHL and NBA games. Now, the disagreement is over pricing and programming fees. MSG is still available on Verizon, Fios, DirecTV, and several other providers. Long Islanders in Sea Cliff and East Hampton are taking a plunge into the new year.
It's amazing. It's freezing, but it's the adrenaline rush of it, just the health benefits. It's cold, but I'm warm now.
The founder of the Sea Cliff Polar Plunge says it's also a community food drive, and attendance grows each year. The tradition started 10 years ago. All right, now let's take a look at your new year, Long Island weather. And it was a pretty mild day outside. Temps were fairly elevated for this time of year, but tonight rain and wind will be moving in, and tomorrow we have some clouds and wind. Taking a closer look at tomorrow, you can see the temps are a bit lower. We do have sun to start off, but the wind and the clouds will move in the afternoon. As for the 7-day forecast, it looks pretty good now. As for dry, those temps though are dropping.
Long Island weather is brought to you by PTRC.
All year long, Newsday's team of journalists work to bring you stories you won't see anywhere else. These investigations focus on our schools, politicians, and issues that have a big impact on your wallet. Now we're going to share some of the biggest exclusive stories from 2024 and look ahead at what could happen in the new year. Like in Nassau, nearly 24 drums containing toxic material were dug up from Bethpage Community Park. The property used to be a dumping ground for the former Grumman Corporation. A Newsday investigation revealed state regulators failed to properly investigate reports of drums being buried at the site.
We found a whistleblower who had, back 8 years ago had said, that he had heard there were buried drums under there. The state did a very cursory investigation and then concluded the, quote, buried drums do not exist under the park. So when they did end up existing, we went down and found the whistleblower down in Florida and talked to him and just kind of got to see the, the shock and the, kind of just the anger, on his face when he read kind of how he was brushed off.
Now, in the new year, officials are supposed to continue searching for anything else buried at the park. The ball field area has been closed for 22 years.
They continue to not have a public space that they pay for as taxpayers. It's kind of become a symbol of the entire contamination saga in Bethpage because Grumman was once beloved there. Employed tens of thousands of people in Bethpage, and once they went out and they left behind this mess, it kind of became just all about the contamination and the groundwater and is the water safe to drink and worries about health.
A Newsday exclusive investigation found Long Island school districts owe nearly $200 million because of sexual abuse lawsuits. The Bayshore School District faced 45 lawsuits, the most on Long Island, all of them linked to former teacher Thomas Bernagozzi. Former students claim Bernagozzi sexually abused them while working for the district for 3 decades. So far, the district has paid $55 million to settle 17 cases. Now, Bernagozzi is awaiting a criminal trial after being charged with sodomy and sexual conduct against the child. He's pleaded not guilty. Newsday investigative reporter Jim Baumback tells us what comes next.
Going forward, it's just following these cases through, both from the perspective of justice for the people who say they had this suffered to them, but also from the community aspect, because the people in the community have expressed to us that they want to know how are our schools safer than what was alleged in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, but also how is this going to impact us financially?
Now this year, a Newsday investigation revealed that since 1976, more than 100 women have been found dead outdoors. Many of them murdered and their killers never arrested. Investigative reporter Sandra Petty compared FBI database numbers to Newsday archives to identify most of the victims.
This story began with an FBI database because all homicides are supposed to be reported to the FBI. But there were no names. There were just some identifying details. So I had to match up each line in the database to a person. But then as you do that, you start to see the stories and you start to see the untold stories, and you realize we have to do more. So we're going to look at more cold cases.
Now, our reporting found that the Nassau and Suffolk police departments have not staffed cold case units in recent years. To fill the gap, the district attorneys in both counties created their own cold case units. And it was a monumental year in politics. Republican Donald Trump will take office once again on January 20th. Newsday brought you minute-by-minute live coverage on election night of what was going on across the nation and in local races. Both counties went red in the presidential race. It's the first time that's happened in Nassau in more than 3 decades. Newsday columnist Joy Brown tells us what this could mean for Long Islanders in the coming year.
We have a lot of Republican officials in place here. We have a lot of Republicans who are going to be in place in Washington, D.C., including Lee Zeldin. I mean, what can a cabinet position in the Department of Environmental Protection do for Long Island at a time where we have storms and all kinds of other things going on here? These are big bonuses for Long Island. Also, remember, Donald Trump came to Nassau Coliseum and said that he would get rid of the salt tax. Let's see if that happens as well. So I think we're pretty well positioned to try to get what we need and maybe even what Long Island wants out of Washington.
Now, it was also the end of an era for some beloved Long Island restaurants. After nearly 100 years, West Hampton's Casa Basso served its last meal. And Floral Park, family-owned Stella Ristorante closed its doors. But when one door closes, another opens, especially when it comes to brunch. Foodies in Westbury welcomed The Shed. Valley Stream received a boozy brunch party spot called 32 North. And a former diner is serving up French toast fondue and espresso martini flights at Twisted Fork in Belmore. Newsday's Feed Me team is giving us an exclusive look at what's coming to Long Island in 2025.
One of the biggest openings next year is actually a reopening. Louis, which has been right on the water in Port Washington since 1905, closed in the fall for a renovation. The guy who owns it, Jerry Sbarro, also owns Rothman's and Mateo's. And if you know those places, they are very good looking places. So he's going to give Louis a thorough renovation. There's still going to be plenty of outdoor seating, still going to be that big pier into Manhasset Bay, but a bit more upscale. And then if we can go back to brunch, Toast, one of Long Island's brunch champions, they've got places in Port Jefferson Station and Bayshore and Long Beach and Patchogue. They're opening up something in East Setauket called The Study by Toast. I think it's going to be Toast-like, but it's going to be bigger, and I think they're going to be doing a lot of the cooking for the other parts of the chain right there in East Setauket.
Now, Newsday will continue to bring you the latest local stories that you can't find anywhere else in 2025. We are wishing you a happy and healthy new year. I'm Ken Bufa. Thank you so much for joining us.